governor ng lungsod ng Lipa.
Secretary ng Council Guadalupe.
Kasama ang para ng pagyamang umaga sa inyo lahat. Tanghali pala. Ako nga po mula sa Ginoong Joshua Edala. Tumatakbo bilang Provincial Governor ng lungsod ng Batangas.
Gandang tanghali sa inyo lahat. Ako si Rainiel G. Benuel. At tumatakbo ko bilang Mayor ng lungsod ng Lipa.
Good morning, I am Ana Victoria Pirana and I am running for the position of Provincial Governor.
Isang pagpala at masayang tanghali sa inyo lahat. Ako si Denzel Jos Angeles, tatakbo bilang Vice Governor.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is W. Julia, running for the position of City Mayor of Lipa.
Ariana dyan.
At bago natin simulan ang ating magaganap na meeting de avance ay tayo munang malis tayo lahat upang magdasal. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Amen. Panginoon, salamat po sa lahat ng biyaya na inyong binibigay sa amin. Salamat po dahil hindi nakarating dito sa paaralan. Salamat po dahil sa magandang panahon sa inyong ibinigay sa amin lahat. Panginoon, patawarin niyo po kami sa lahat ng aming mga pagkakasala. Sinadyaman po namin ito o hindi. Panginoon, nawa po ay ibayan niyo ang bawat isa, ang bawat mag-aaral at ang bawat reporter ngayong araw na maging successful ito at maging maganda. Panginoon, sa iyo namin ibinibigay ang pinakamataas na salamat sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, ng Espiritu Santo. Class Secretary, sino mag-accept ba? Thank you.
Before we start our discussion, let's have the bong-bong check. Everyone, please read.
Build trust. Observe fairness. Nurture unity. Go beyond yourself.
These classroom rules will serve as a guide to have a smooth and enjoyable discussion. Now let's proceed to the motivational activity. So our activity for today will be this title, Meeting the Advanced Stands for Society. So the class will be divided into two groups, and each group is a political party. So you will give each group this part is present dynamics. So and they will present each of the 5 statements one at a time. For each statement, all groups vote simultaneously by raising the pen or letters, and this will continue until all 5 statements have been presented. So let's now count. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. So, magpunta na po sa kanya-kanyang group ang lahat. This will be in group 1 and this will be in
One ka dito.
The first statement is, a law is still a law even if you don't understand it.
Itataas ko lang yung check if you're agree with it and actually not.
Next statement, what is legal is always moral.
And erase the parts.
Next statement, should only do what feels good and makes good,
good result. You should only do what feels good and brings good results. If someone fails to do their duty, they are automatically immoral. Last statement. There is no real freedom if we are just following nature or duty. There is no freedom if we are just following nature or duty. So I hope nabuhayan ng lahat. Nabuhayan ba? Group 1?
Yes!
Okay. Ngayon naman, ay meron tayong activity. At ito ay pinakagatang.
The debate for class name.
So sa tingin nyo, ano na ang siyang araw?
Debate!
So ito ang gagawin nating group 1. Ito naman ang group 2. So para sa mechanics, kindly raise everyone.
Each party list group assigns 1 to 2 speakers.
One for both orators, split for opening or review. Speakers will
Stay seated and just stand to speak.
There will be 2 debate matches, 2 groups per match randomly selected. Groups will be ordered in stance, agree or disagree, before the statement is revealed.
Each side gets 30 seconds per round for 2 rounds total.
Then 2 non-debating groups will vote by raising up the group with more votes wins the debate. So, pipili na po ang each group ng kanilang magiging representative for the debate. And
Ngayon may
go for the
Ano po ang gagawin na? So una po, pipili muna kayo ng isa for opening. Isa rin. Kung sakali na sa tingin nyo ay kaya niyang mag-isa sa rebuttal, ay pwede siya pa rin. Pero kung sakali na may gusto pang participate sa inyo ay tig-isa kayong part.
So, pumunta na po sa unayo.
Para sa marshmallow.
So para po tayo ay kita sa video ay hindi po sa may gusto kami magiging
Sinong inyo?
use.
Yes, go na.
Ang mangyayari po, magpapabatopic po kayo at siya po ang may karapatang tumis sa dalawang po. May karapatan kayo po mamili sa dalawang po. Mauna po po sa tayo ang Dahil group 1, kayo ang nakakuha ng agree, sila ang nagsisimula ng statement. At kayo naman, group 2 kayo ang pangalawa. Ito ang statement, makinig. Dalawang beses ito uulitin. All laws must follow natural law to be considered valid. Natural law is yeah. Natural law is moral law. But we understand what is right and wrong. So, ulit ang statement ha. All laws must follow natural law to be considered valid. Natural law is parang about
Natural law is moral valid.
religion, bawal pumatay. So, kung inilagay niya sa batas, saka lang daw siya valid kung yun ang naging basis.
Okay na?
Timer, ikaw po, magsaset ba ako ng timer? Pwedeng
Okay, step forward po yung
ito yung naging.
I agree with that day. One, two, ano po ba sa
Minsan mention, nagsisinungaling tayo kasi we want to protect something that is worth protecting. Oh. And tayo kasi we want to protect something that is worth protecting. Oh. And yun, we cannot really distinguish something to be evil or good according lang din doon sa sinasabi. Bakit? Diba, teacher? Nalipat ko?
Nandito lang eh. Pinag-process. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, sinabi mo na yung pagsisinungaling ay
Okay lang, magiging basis.
so, ibig sabihin kapag nasa loob ka ng korte, dahil naging basis natin ay yung mga gano'n na hindi natural law, ibig sabihin pwede kong sinungaling, kahit na para lang sa ikabubuti ng iba. Sisinungaling ka para lang makakalala ng earth.
Next. Start.
Nag-incheck eh.
Dumiling kasi, yun naman talaga yung purpose kung bakit na yung mga lawyer din sa korte. Hindi kailangan nila protektahan yung isang bagay kahit para lang din sa legal nila. Kasi, again, according to the law, everyone have the right for protection, lalo na pagdating sa batas at matawag sila sa ng lawyer. Although, sabihin man natin na, ano na natin, nag-guilty sa isang tao, alam mo lawyer na guilty siya. Pero the right sa isang tao.
Last na po, last.
Bigla sa libat.
Last na yun?
Ano sa ba yun?
Hindi ko magkatawin sa katatanong.
Ngayon po ay nakita na natin or narinig na natin ang side ng dalawang participant. At para malaman natin kung sino ang panalo sa kanilang dalawa, ay pagbabasihan natin ang palakpak ng ating mga audience. Walang biasan, hindi porket ang po nyo, siya ang mananalo, siya ang papalakpak ng dalawa. Dapat pinakinggan nyo ang kanilang kasagutan. At pwede rin kayong sumigaw.
Yes, go.
Sino ang ma-agree sa dinefendan ni Akabal? Hindi sa kabilangan.
Ano pa? Gusto yung pag-design natin.
Tahimik ko lang.
Isa pa, Mr. Akabal? Akala ko sa Akabal. Ano to? Mr. Akabal? Miss Mabilangan. At dahil evident na Miss Mabilangan ang nakakulang pinakamalakas na cheer,
Vin,
ibig
motivation
sabihin,
nyo 15 minutes.
siya ang nanalo.
Madama ka na lang yung opa.
Ano yan? Galit pa?
Today we're going to talk about the lesson 3, which is the St. Thomas Natural Law Ethics. Now we're going to lesson 4 is the Kant Ethics, the duty of freedom. Now first let's discuss about the meaning of natural law and the other law. It has 4 points of difference. First we have the meaning of natural law. What is natural law? Anyone from the class wants to speak? Mr.
Natural law is the ordinance of known to us by is the ordinance of divine wisdom which is made known to us by reason and which requires the observance of the moral order.
Natural law is also defined to be the internal law as far as we do by the human reason. Natural law is a moral law that we understand through reason. It's also teach us what is morally right and wrong and naturally. And for example, even if a child has never been teach, alam nila dapat na
God rule for creation. We are part of God's creation, so we are part of God's eternal law. In the statement, that eternal law is a God plan for an overall plan, and natural law is the thing. This is the part of the thing na kailangan natin silang maintindihan through reason. For example, God plans eternal law. For example, God plans for peace and order. But for natural law, if we avoid violence and help each other, we are following the natural law. Next, we have let us now relate the natural law of other animal law. A law decreed by Almighty God is divine law, but established by man in good law. Those laws for human conduct which God has. Having once decreed creation, and necessarily enact in accordance with the constitute the natural law, those which God or man freely enact with the positive laws. And on this law decree, we have the four differences of four points of difference. First, Sir Alexis, can you read the first points of difference?
The natural law, unlike positive law, does not depend upon the free will of God. Its requirements flow from the intrinsic difference between right and wrong, which is determined by the very essences of things.
Sinasabi lang sa statement na to, it's not based on what is more naturally right or wrong. Sinasabi, it's not just na katustuhan ang Panginoon ang nagde-decide ng law na meron tayo. For example, telling the truth is always right, but not because someone made these rules for this, which is yung makikita natin yung honesty is the best policy, where hindi naman talaga siya totally na rules or hindi sinabatas. It's just that we're going to use it para sa isang disiplina, sa isang paralan, or any establishment. Next is that consequently, the natural law is the same at all times in all things and for all persons. But this is not through positive laws which may be changed with changing circumstances, or if the lawgiver so wills, even without change of circumstances. Sinasabi lamang dito, ang pagbabago as a positive law ay walang pagbabago. It's just a different where positive law can be varied or may be varied. For example, killing an innocent person is wrong. Kasi alam natin sa Pilipinas o sa ibang bansa, ang pagpatay ng mga inosente ay mali. Pero kapag tinignan natin yung jaywalking na rules or law, ay makikita natin na mas different siya doon sa pagpatay ng tao. Next is the natural law emanates from God alone, but positive law will be enacted by man. Sinasabi lamang dito that natural law is divine, while human's law can be made by the government. For example, yung 10 Commandments kung saan yung do not steal, do not cheat, or do not kill, it is the natural law. Pero kapag sinabi na no parking on this area or mga signs na nakalagay lamang sa isang mga establishment, ito ay gawa ng government. Hindi siya gawa talaga hindi siya gawa as a natural law. Next, we have the last points of difference. 4 is the natural law is promulgated through a life of reason. Positive laws require their promulgation assigned external to a man. Sinasabi lamang dito, we should understand what is natural law. And we should kailangan natin maintindihan ang natural law through thinking. But positive laws can also need to be announced. Dapat ang bawat paggagawa ng mga laws, naturally or hindi man made by government, dapat ito ay sinasabi through announce or dapat ito ay napapublic para alam ng mga bawat tao ano nga bang meron ng law ang ating country. For example, alam natin sa paaralan ang pag-cheat ay isang kamalian. Pero alam natin ang school uniform alam natin yung pagnanakaw, pag-cheat sa isang school is a natural law. Pero kapag tinignan natin the school uniform policy, it is the policy from the, it is the policy that enacted or implemented by the government. Now, before I finish my stating my platform or advocacy about what is the meaning of natural law or the meaning of natural law and others law. Anyone from the class wants to differentiate what is natural law to eternal law? Miss Hazel Mabilan.
Natural law, those are law na galing mismo sa Bible or came from the sa Diyos. Yun yung parang divine law, yung natural law. The other hand, yung eternal. Eternal na naman, those are law na gawa ng God.
Thank you, Ms. Hazel. Now, we're going to proceed through to the natural law as a universal formula and law defined that will be discussed by my party for running for a provincial vice governor, Mr. Joshua Lago.
Tape daw.
So good afternoon everyone. So I'm right here in front of you, running for Vice Governor of the provincial of Batangas. And now let us discuss the natural law as universal formula and law defined. Miss Shaira, can you please read the first and the second line?
Humans naturally want to preserve life, seek truth, reproduce, and live in society. Actions like murder, suicide, and lying violate these natural inclinations and are therefore morally wrong.
So humans naturally want to seek, preserve life, seek truth, reproduce, and live in society. This means that humans naturally want na mabuhay tayo, hanapin natin yung katotohanan at magparami tayo as gaya ng sinabi ni God na dapat tayo ang magpadami and live in a society with peace. And if these principles are violated and against it is now morally wrong. Just like how actions like murder, suicide, and lying violates these natural inclinations, and therefore it's morally wrong. So, as you can see, preserving life, it is very wrong to kill because you are depriving someone's life, and seeking and lying is wrong because you are depriving or pinipigilan mo malaman yung katotohanan ng in living in society. Sir Dylan, can you please read the third and fourth sentence?
What is natural promotes human flourishing and is ethical. This moral order is known by all rational beings and applies regardless of personal or cultural difference.
So we as humans have a nature of loving, kind, and helping someone. But not all nature is good. Just like how yung pagiging magagaling natin, it is normal. But it is not normal when pag nagagalit tayo, is nananakit tayo, and it's violent, it is a morally wrong. So nagagets mo ba?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Miss Alcanes, can you please read the first and the second line? sentence.
Aquinas selected natural law and divine law, which is part of God's eternal law, the divine wisdom governing all creation. God guides our creators toward the final purpose. You must participate in this true natural law.
So Aquinas said that natural law and the divine law is connected. And it comes from the God's eternal wisdom, and God has a plan for everything. And so God leads all creature to its final purpose. And we as a human follow it by our natural understanding on what is right and what is wrong. Now, nagagets po ba? Yes. Miss Akira, can you please read the third and fourth sentence?
Divine laws revealed through the Ten Commandments and Jesus' teaching such as love God and love your neighbor. Aquinas taught that natural and divine law work together, harmonizing faith and reason to guide moral behavior.
So divine law is a message from God that teaches us how we are going to live rightfully. Just like how He give us the Ten Commandments. According to the Ten Commandments, sinasabi doon na bawal ka pumatay, bawal ka magnakaw, bawal ka makiapid, and so on and so forth. And that Ten Commandments tell us kung paano tayo mabuhay sa mundo ito. And Aquinas taught that natural law and the divine law work together. Means that natural law and divine law are work together in order for us to choose on what is good and what is right. In order for us to avoid what is morally wrong. Now we are going to go to the logical application of the natural law. Sir Alexis, can you please read the example?
Example of moral reasoning. Premise, stealing is immoral and evil. Premise, taking someone's property without consent is stealing. Therefore, taking someone's property is immoral and should be avoided.
So yun nga, sabi dito, in example of moral reasoning is stealing is immoral and evil. And the second premises naman is taking someone's property without consent is stealing. Therefore, taking someone's property is immoral and should be avoided. And ang second example din ay lying is wrong because it harms trust. Then telling someone false information is lying. Therefore, telling some false things on purpose is violates moral reasoning. Now we go to the law defined by Saint Thomas Aquinas. Miss Shaira, can you please read?
Law is an ordinance of reason for the common good, made by someone in authority and promulgated. For a law to be valid, it must be reasonable, serve the common good, be made by proper authority, be properly promulgated, made between and made known to the people.
So, for the law to be must be valid, according to St. Thomas, it should be reasonable. The law should be reasonable, it should have a sense. And bakit pa ito ginawa? Ano bang sense ito? Ano ba yung kahalagahan nito? Should be serve for a common good. Dapat hindi lang ito ginawa for our self-interest. Dapat magsaserve din dito as mahalaga para sa lahat. Third one is, it made by the proper authority. So, in the Philippines, sino ba yung gumagawa ng batas? So, what branch of the government? Okay, the legislative government ang gumagawa ng batas. The fourth one is being properly promulgated. It means that lahat is, it should be publicity. Na public dapat lahat yung ginagawa nating batas, hindi lang alam lang ng gumagawa, kundi dapat lahat din ng tao sa society or sa bansa. So, unreasonable, discriminatory, or unpublished laws are not rules. Bakit kaya sinabi rito na unreasonable, discriminatory, or unpublished law are not rules? Sir Akaban. So why do you think making law is unreasonable, discriminatory, or unpublished laws are not true laws?
Unreasonable.
Discriminatory.
So, may mga laws na sinasabi natin na, sorry. Unreasonable, discriminatory, so, ano po sinabi na gumagawa tayo ng law for the benefit of the general, not just na sumasakay sa isang side or sa isang tao. So, for the law to be a law, or to be a true law, it must answer no side, but however, it must cover the general public na lahat ay mag-benefit, hindi lang isa. For example, gumagawa tayo ng batas para sa pagkain, but if that law only abide or only ay sumasang-ayon sa mga mayayaman, then it is not a true law kasi dinintegrate niya or dinidiscriminate niya yung mahihirap. Which is nagpapakita na may sinasang-ayunan yung batas instead of nag-agree siya sa isang sa general public.
Okay. Bigyan na sa limang palakpak si Sir Julius. Yan. Law must promote fairness and welfare for the whole community. As Sir Julius sabi kanina, dapat ito ay fair, dapat impartial. Wala dapat tayong pinapaligan. Hindi porket mayaman ka, ikaw lang ang may kakayahan sa batas. Hindi ka mahirap, wala nang karapatan. We should be fair and just. And dapat, it's mahalaga and welfare for the whole community. Dapat lahat tayo ay nakikinabang sa mga batas. Hindi lang yung mga nasa taas na nakapwesto ang nakikinabang dito. So in the Philippines, law take effects after the 15 days after the publication of the official gazette or the newspaper. So after the 15 days of the publication, magiging effective yung paggawa ng batas. So nagigets po ba? So I have a questions since regarding the natural law and the law. So let's say for example, there's no written law and walang nakasunod na batas. Pumatay ka, do you think nagnakaw ka, do you think mali pa din yan or tama? Mamaisan. Let's say for example, there's no written law and wala nakasunod na batas. And then pumatay ka, nagnakaw ka.
Then divine law or may divine law?
Wala naman.
Kapag walang law na binagbabasehan ng isang tao sa ginawa niyang action, walang mali or tama sa kanila magiging decision. But then, kapag meron pa ding law na binagbabasehan, even wala yung written law at divine law lang isinusunod, ang pagpatay ay mali at mali pa din sa mata ng divine.
Thank you so much. So nagagets po ba yung ang key principles of the natural law of ethics? Okay? Tinatawag ko na ang ating Mayor of Lipa City, si City Mayor Daniel Benhammer.
Tanghali sa ating lahat. Ako si Daniel Benhammer at ngayon ay tatakbo ako bilang isang mayor ng lungsod ng Lipa. At ngayon, hindi ako nangangako sa inyo. Subalit, ang sinasabi ko lamang ay tiyak na magiging mabuti akong leader. Dahil sisiguraduhin ko na ako'y pinapatnubayan ng Kant's deontological ethics. Pero, para inyo pang mas maunawaan kung paano ako magiging leader, syempre dapat muna nating maunawaan ano nga ba ang Kant's deontological ethics. Mr. Laure, kindly read this one.
Kant's deontological ethics. Kant's ethics is now referred to as deontological. Rooted from the Greek deon, which means duty. Deontological ethics focuses on duty, obligation, and rights, instead of consequences or ends. An act that proceeds from the will it because it can be the will of all is the right action. Willing and doing the will of all is a duty, regardless of the consequences.
Thank you, Ms. Lauren. Sinasabi namin dito sa Kant's Theology. Muna, balikan muna natin. Ang deontological ay nagsimula or nagmula sa Greek word na dion, na ang ibig sabihin ay duty. At sinasabi dito na dahil nga duty, ang isang action daw hindi mahalaga kung or hindi kinokonsidera dito kung ano ang kahihinatnan ng isang action. Hindi nila isasaalang-alang ano ang magiging resulta nito. Kung ito ba ay magiging mabuti o masama. Ang mahalaga lang dito, tama daw ang magiging action mo kung sakali na sinusunod mo ang iyong duty. Naunawaan ba? Bumalakpak ng dalawa kung inyong naunawaan. And ayon, sinasabi rin dito na tama ang iyong action kung sa tingin mo ay gagawin din siya ng maraming tao. Kung sa tingin mo, parang universal yon kung sakali na ibang tao nasa posisyon mo at yun ang gagawin nila, ibig sabihin, tama ang iyong magiging posisyon o action. Mr. Garcia, pwede bang makibasa niyo po?
The duty-based approach is sometimes called deontological ethics, argued that doing of what is right is not about the consequences for actions, but about having the proper intention in performing the action. The ethical action is one taken from duty that is done precisely because it is our obligation to perform the action. Ethical obligations are the same for all rational creatures. They are universal, and knowledge of what these obligations entail is arrived at by discovering the rules of behavior that are not contradicted by a reason.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garcia. Sinasabi lamang dito na dito sa deontological ethics ay magiging tama ang iyong action kung ang intention mo ay yung iyong duty. Paano ba natin malalaman ang ating duty? Yung sinabi ko nga kanina, ano sa tingin mo ang gagawin ng ibang tao, kung sila nasa sitwasyon na yun ang magiging duty mo at yun ang tamang gawin. At dito, sinasabi na yung word na intention. Word na intention. Kung saan, wherein you're doing an action not because of your personal interest but the intention of doing what is right. For example, you have donated money on an orphanage. I'm sorry. So doon, kung sakali na you only do that just for fame and para purihin ka ng ibang tao, then ibig sabihin daw, hindi tama ang iyong ginawa. Dahil nahaluan mo siya ng personal interest. Pero kung sakali na ang nangyari ay ginawa mo siya because you know that you have the capacity to help, kung sakali na sa tingin mo ay yun yung tamang gawin, then sinasabi ni Kant na tama ang magiging action mo. Dahil sa maganda mong intention at hindi mo sinama ang personal mong interest. Kant's famous formula for discovering our ethical duty is called categorical imperative. The most basic form of the imperative is act only according to the maxim by which you can at the same time will that should become universal law. Example, lying is unethical because we could not universalize a maxim that said one should always lie. We can, however, universalize the maxim, always speak truthfully without running into a logical contradiction. Sinasabi lamang dito na ang formula ni Kant para malaman kung tama ba ang action na ating gagawin ay tinatawag na categorical imperative. Ito yung pagtatanong sa sarili. Kung yun ba ang gagawin ng isang tao, kung yun din ba ang magiging choice ng mga tao ng majority. For example, dito, sinabi nga dito ay yung pagsisinungaling. Sabi ay unethical daw siya, hindi tamang gawin. Bakit? Kung ikaw na nasa sitwasyon na yun, tatanungin mo ang sarili mo. Okay lang ba kung magsisinungaling ang lahat ng tao? Sa tingin nyo, okay lang ba yun? Hindi. Dahil, ibig sabihin lang, mawawalan na ng sense ang mga sinasabi natin. Just, because we all know that everyone can lie. No, ibig sabihin, wala na credibility ang messages ng bawat isa. Ngayon, baliktarin natin. Kung sakaling, doon sa part na yun, na pwede magsinungaling ang lahat, pwede ba natin siyang i-universalize? Pwede pa natin siyang i-universalize? Pwede pa maging universal law ang one should always lie? No. Pero, in the statement, always speak truthfully. Ito ba always speak truthfully can be universalized? Yes. Why? Why? Sir Lyndon, do you have any idea?
Kasi alam yung pag-ibig we have the freedom to speak. Kaya palaya kaya yung speaking
Sir Lyndon, kung sakali na gagamitin mo ang categorical imperative ni Immanuel Kant, how would you question yourself in this statement? Sabihin, tatanong mo sarili mo, pwede parang magsabi na totoo ang lahat ng tao. Yun, yung tatanong mo, ano magiging sagot? Yes. Kasi,
yun yung pag-kanina, we have the right to speak free for themselves as long as alive brings natural law. Kung baga wala pa rin kinakapakang ilo, yung mga sasabihin doon. So, you have the right, meron kang freedom na sabihin kung ano ba kailangan.
thank you, Mr. Lyndon. So, bigyan natin siya ng boom boom clap at ituro ko sa inyo. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. Ulit, tumayo ang lahat. Okay. Naman ako, bong-bong na lang. Bong-bong. Para medyo political. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bong, bong, bong. Okay, thank you for sa inyong lahat. Sinabi, no? At idagdag ko pa, kung tatanungin mo ang sarili mo, does everyone or lahat ba ng tao ay pwedeng magsalita ng totoo? May magiging, may makakompromise ba kapag ginawa yun ng lahat ng tao? Diba? Parang wala naman kasi ibig sabihin lang nun, magkakaroon tayo ng peace dahil totoo ang sinasabi ng bawat isa. Walang makakompromise. So, ibig sabihin, the statement, always speak truthfully, can be universalized. Kaya, in this situation, kung sakali na may situation kung saan namimili ka, magsisinungaling ba ako or I have to say what is the truth? Siyempre, ang pipiliin natin is yung kung ano ang totoo dahil yun ang pinipili ng bawat isa. Yun yung pipiliin ng bawat isa. Hindi natin dito daw sa binikal nagiging tamang action nang hindi mo kinokonsidera magiging resulta. Kung sakali, na kunyari ay may nalaman ka ng isang bagay at alam mo na may masasaktan doon, pero tinanong ka at nag-analyze ka, tinanong mo sarili mo, ang lahat ba ay dapat yung sinungaling? At ang sagot ba ay hindi kasi magkakaroon ng gulo. Ngayon, tinanong mo rin ang sarili mo, ang lahat ba ay dapat magsabi ng totoo? At ang nangyari ay, syempre, yun yung pipili natin kasi wala namang compromise doon. Kung tinanong ka, sasabihin mo kahit may masasaktan pang ibang tao. Yun yung tama, according to Immanuel Kant. Okay? Yun ay according to Immanuel Kant, hindi according to akin. Miss Mabilangan, can you read?
According to our universal reason, we are acting autonomously or in self-regulating fashion, and thus are bound by duty. A duty we have given ourselves as rational creatures. We thus freely choose or we will to bind ourselves to the moral law. For Kant, choosing to obey the universal moral law is the very nature of acting ethically. An example, borrowing money with no intention to pay back cannot be universalized and therefore cannot be ethical. If this becomes universalized, there will be no more lenders and all banks will close.
Do you think you Miss Mabilangan? Sinasabi lamang dito ni Kant na nagiging ethical lang ang isang action kung sakali na sinusunod mo ang natural law. No? And for example daw, ay yung magpapahiram ng pera. Kung sakali na mangungutang ka at yun ay wala kang intention magbayad, tatanungin mo ang sarili mo. Kapag ba lahat ng nangungutang ay walang intention na magbayad, nagiging ano ba yun? Pwede ba siyang i-universalize? Pwede bang lahat ng tao ay gumawa nun? Hindi. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi siya ma-universalize, hindi siya ethical na gawin. Ngayon, dito, ano daw magiging pwedeng resulta? Pwede daw magsara yung mga bangko kasi hindi na rin sila nagpapahirap ng pera. At yung mga tao na nagpapautang, mapipilitan silang huwag na lang din magpautang dahil nga, kung i-universalize to, gano'n na mangyayari. Hindi lahat sila magbabayad ng kanilang mga utang. And doon natatapos ang aking parte at nais ko sanang malaman kung may natutunan kayo sa pamamagitan ng dalawang palakpak. May katanungan ba? Na. Okay. Ngayon ay tinatawag ko na ang kabilang partido upang ibigay ang kanilang mga plataforma. Maraming salamat po.
Pagpalang araw sa inyo ba? Ako po kung hindi sa Diyos Angeles, tumatakbo bilang baso. At upang mas makilala niyo ba ako, hayaan niyo ang At upang mas makilala niyo ba ako, ay hayaan niyo akong talakay sa inyo ang beauty framework ni
Okay, hindi mo pa our first day is March 10.
The duty framework is a concept in ethics, law, and philosophy that outlines obligations, responsibilities, or moral requirements that individuals or entities must adhere to.
Simple explaining statement of the duty framework is the law, rules, and obligations that a human must follow. So, ito yung mga bagay na kailangan matutunan ay gawin at gawin ng mga obligasyon ng isang tao kahit na walang nakakakita o may nakakakita. And para mas maintindihan nyo, I'm going to give you an example wherein ang duty framework is makikita. let's say for example, I'm going to use the other example na ginamit natin noong mga nakaraang discussion. Let's say si Shaira, nakakita siya ng wallet na may mga pera. And also sa loob ng wallet, meron po naman na ID at contact number ng may-ari ng wallet. Ang duty framework on that particular situation is to hahanapin ni Shaira yung may-ari ng wallet and ibabarin. So that is duty framework. Ginawa niya yun, regardless kung may nakakita o wala, dahil nga yun yung tama at yun yung dapat gawin. And another example is sa batas. We all know that killing is a crime. Sa batas, bawal tayong pumatay. At pagdating din naman sa natural law, bawal din pumatay. Divine law, hindi tayo pwedeng pumatay. And that is the duty framework on that situation. At last example, para mas maintindihan natin what duty framework is. When it comes to work, even though sa work, we all know that we want to be promoted para sa mas malaking sweldo at mas malaking kitaan. And then, if you are in a situation na pwede ka mandaya just to promote your position sa loob ng inyong kumpanya, hindi mo yung gagawin because that is the moral. Yun yung tama and yun yung duty framework on that situation. And even though duty framework is maganda ang kanyang layunin, meron ito mga advantages. But let's talk about the advantages na. Please, can we read the first one?
Creates consistent rules for everyone.
Okay, so duty framework creates consistent rules for everyone. Wherein those rules ay hindi nagbabago. Kung ano yung tama na kailangan gawin, regardless nga kung may nakakakita, yun yung gagawin natin at hindi yun magbabago. The second advantage is
Treat all people equally.
Duty framework, yun na. Duty frameworks create equal, consistent rules for everyone. So, those kind of rules is treated the human na sumusunod doon sa kanyang rules ay tinatrato ng pantay-pantay. Regardless kung anong kalagayan mo sa buhay, mayaman ka man, may hirap, may sakit man o wala, pogi o maganda, pangit naman, yun yan. And then, for the third advantage is
Judges actions by moral duty, not result.
so, when it comes naman sa duty framework, ginajudge nito yung process kung paano mo ginawa yung tamang bagay, right? Without judging kung ano yung resulta. And now let's proceed sa mga disadvantages ng duty framework.
Can seem cold or inflexible. Many require harmful actions if they follow a rule.
Now, a disadvantages of duty framework is it may rather seem cold pagdating sa ibang situation. I'm going to give example. When it comes to school, halimbawa, one student is late na kapagpasa ng kanyang output sa kanyang teacher. Now, yung teacher niya is hindi niya siya pinayagan na magpasa because siya na lang hindi nakapagpasa and without knowing kung ano yung reason ng bata na hindi nakapagpasa, let's say, namatayan yung bata na hindi nakapagpasa. So, in the duty framework kasi ng isang teacher is maging fair sa lahat. Kasi nga, nakapagpasa na yung iba din without considering the reason kung bakit siya hindi nakapagpasa yung bata. So, that is duty framework. Next, disadvantage is
Offers no clear
Solution when duties conflict.
Now, when it comes naman sa duty framework, meron tayong mga situation na meron tayong kailangan sundin na dalawang duty framework, but those two duty framework is nagtatalo. Lalaban-laban sila kung alin ba yung mas tamang gawin. So let's say sa in this particular disadvantage, there are two duty framework on that situation na kailangan mo gawin. But those two duty framework is contradicting. Ibig sabihin, hindi sila parehas na magagawa. Then for the last disadvantage, kindly po everyone.
Applies duties. Ignoring personal
Circumstances.
Now, let's go back sa example ko kanina dito sa
encounter.
Yung sa student. Sa duty framework, i-disregard natin yung personal circumstances ng isang individual just to do the right thing. And that will be all from my part. And tinatawagan ko lang susunod na tatawa.
Good morning again. I am Hannah Victoria Corona and I am running for the position for provincial governor. And hindi ko na patatagalin at hindi na ako magsasabi ng mga proyekto at mga pangako na sa tingin ay mapapagulan. I am here to discuss about Kant's theory of rights, legally and morally, and goodwill. Ngayon na lang na pupupo ko ang puso ng bawat botante dito. So everyone, please read Kant's theory of rights.
Kant's theory of right.
According to Kant, the universal principle of right is that an action is right if it can coexist with everyone's freedom in accordance with the universal law, or if on its maxim, the freedom of choice of each
Can coexist with everyone's freedom
in accordance with the universal law.
So, like what Kant said, your action is right if it can coexist with everyone's freedom. So, ang ibig sabihin nito is that when you do an action, it can only be right if you are considering, if you are respecting everyone's freedom, everyone's right, and if you are thinking about them, and not just your rights, not just your wants. So an example of this is, imagine that you are nagpapalugtog ka sa daylight, and that is your rights, that is your freedom. But if your action is going to be right, kapag gabi, dapat ay hindi ka na magpapatugtog. Dapat kapag gabi, hindi ka na magpapatugtog because mababiolate mo yung mga rights ng ibang tao, your neighbors especially. So, you are violating their right to sleep, you are violating their right to rest. So, that's it for Kant's theory of right. So, everyone please read legally and morally right.
It appears that in Kant, what is legal must be at the same time moral. An action is legally right if it is at the same time in accordance with universal law. That is, in accordance with the categorical imperative.
So, in legally and morally right, sinasabi dito ni Kant na your action must, your legal action must also be moral. So, pag sinabi ba natin legal and moral, ano bang ibig sabihin? So, can someone differentiate it for me? Okay, Miss Shaira?
Legal po is based on law or based on the law that was imposed by the government, while moral is based on morality or based on what is right.
So, thank you. Let's give Miss Shaira a bottom clap. So, 1, 2, 3. Iboto, si Shaira. Okay, sabay-sabay. 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Iboto, si Shaira.
So that is right. So legal is like obeying the law, and moral is yung mga kabutihang loob mo. So an example of you own a business. And syempre, ang legal na nagagawa mo is nasusuklian mo yung mga customer mo in a right way and the right price. While sa moral, nasusuklian mo naman ang mga customers mo with a discount. So that's it. So you are doing both the legal and the moral. So sinusuklian mo sila, pero sometimes you are giving them discounts because of your malasakit. So the next one or the last one is goodwill. So everyone please read goodwill.
Kant says, nothing can possibly be conceived in the world, or even out of it, which can be called good without qualification except a goodwill.
So, sinasabi dito na your action can be considered as moral action if your intention with it is good. So, this explains that your intention is the most important aspect or the most important matter that can be considered when doing an action. So, an example of this is, for example, you gave a pulubes something like a food or a water, pero hindi mo alam na sira na pala to or panis na. So, nagkasakit siya, of course. And sa tingin nyo ba, sa palagay nyo, is that action still moral? Mr. Laura, can you please answer?
Para sa akin, yung intention is morally right. Pero if intentionally mo binigay sa pulube yung pagkain, knowing na alam mo sa sarili mo na na panis na yon, ibig sabihin nun, yung ginawa mo is not morally right na. Pero in that case kasi, hindi mo alam na yung binigay mong pagkain is panis na. So, yung intention mo pa rin ay nandun na tulungan yung nagugutom na pulube. So, I could say na morally right yung ginawa mo kasi nakatulong ka pa rin yung intention mo. Yeah.
That's good. So, let's give him a iboto clap. 1, 2, 3, go.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, iboto, si Lyndon.
So, that is correct. So, sa sinasabi ni Kant, kahit anong maging resulta ng isang action, it really depends on the intention of the doer of the act. So, if your intention is good, then it is a moral act. But if your intention is bad and you intentionally put someone at risk, then you are doing something bad. So, in goodwill, lagi lang tatandaan ang intention pinaka-nagmamatter sa ating ginagawang bagay. Here naman, kay Kanye, sa kanyang rule of right, dapat, let's recall back. So, this one, Kanye's rule of right, dapat ay our action should be coexisting with everyone's freedom for it to be right. So, in legally and morally right naman, your an action and a legal action should also be moral, while in goodwill, your intention is the one that matters most. So, I have a question here. Do you think something that is legal is always moral? Why and why not? Natagalogin ko. Sa tingin niyo ba, ang isang legal na gawain ay palaging moral? Okay, Mr.
I think hindi. Kasi yung mga bagay na sila legal, pero hindi siya moral. For example, meron tayong mga situations na kapag may natutulong tayo ng isang bagay, it is not legal para tingin siya, especially kung wala namang nagpo-process sa isang bagay na yan. Like for example, nakapulot ka ng ball pen sa labas. Bago-bago pa yung ball pen, but there's no specific someone na kilala mo na nagpo-process nun kasi nakita mo na lang siya somewhere. Pero sa loob mo,
tatanungin mo yung sarili mo, is it moral na akin ko na lang yung ballpen or hahayaan ko na lang siya doon? So nandun pa rin yung konsensya mo kung kukunin mo pa rin siya or hindi. But still, yung pagkuha nun or yung pagkaki nun, dahil nakita mo lang naman sa somewhere, it is legal. Hindi naman siya illegal. Pero nandun pa rin yung konsensya natin kung magiging kung tutuloy natin sa or hindi. Kasi sinusukat natin yung isang bagay or yung action natin kung magiging moral siya or hindi. But in that case, dahil ng mga malalaking bagay na, for example, mga pera na siya, nasa isang bagay siya ng pera, mga milyones, mga thousands na gano'n, sabihin ba natin na legal na kunin mo yung pera kasi wala mo nagpo-possess, but it is immoral, but hindi siya moral, na kunin mo, lalo na kung malaking halaga siya. Kasi, nandun pa rin tayo sa mga reasons natin na baka kailangan pa ng may-ari yung pera.
So, thank you. Let's give him a bottom clap again. 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Iboto! Iboto! Si Julius!
So, ayun lamang para sa akin. And again, I am running for the position of provincial governor. And alam ko na sa tingin nyo, ay alam niyo na kung sino iboboto sa amin ng aking kalaban, which is si John Paul Blascado. And kayo na lamang ang bahalang pupunta. And I am now calling one of my party, which is Joy Sumyaw, for the position of mayor.
So before we start, what is categorical imperative? So categorical imperative is a key concept of Immanuel Kant's moral philosophy and the universal law of morality. It states that the action should be based on the maxims or the principles that can be willed as the universal law for everyone to follow, regardless of their individual desires or any circumstances. So there are two versions of categorical imperative. First, we have everyone read all together.
First version, I never to act other than so that I could will that my maxim should become a universal law. If one cannot wish or want that a certain rule or maxim becomes the maxim of all, that is not right to follow.
Thou shalt not steal.
This means that before we do something, we should ask ourselves, what if everyone did the same thing? If we think that okay lang sa kanila na gawin ito ng lahat, ng pangkalahatan, ay masasabi natin ito ay ang tamang gawin ng isang tao. Hindi ba?
Yes.
Yes po.
Halimbawa, kung okay lang sa'yo na ang pag-cheat ay tama, ngunit kung iba ang gumawa nito ay mali para sa'yo, ito ay cheating ay consider na mali. Dahil sa kanila ito magiging tama ayon sa categorical imperative kung sa tingin mo ay ito ay tama at sa tingin mo ay ayos lang na gawin ng lahat ng tao sa mundo. Next ay ang second version. Please skip the first and the second hyphen. Sorry, the first hyphen. Second
Version.
Always treat humanity, whether in your own person or that of another, never simply as a means but always at the same time as an end.
In contemporary
contemporary philosophy, like Marcel or Buber's term, it is treating the other as an IT, a thing. That's why they call the act as thingderization.
So it means that you should never use someone to gain something or to benefit from them. You should treat them with respect and value them as a human being. Hindi lang isang bagay na kung sakali, kung wala nang pakinabang sa'yo, ay saka mo sila itatapon at hindi
a ladder. Yun.
Nag-eksena. So, imagine nyo si Stripe, yung main character ay nag-climb sa hagdan, pero yung ginamit, hagdan pala, ginamit niya way or means para mapunta sa tuktok ay yung other caterpillars. Pero pagkatapos niya makakiyat sa tuktok ay nalaman niya na walang reward na makukuha doon, kundi isang isang bagay na wala siyang makukuha na benefit. So, ang main message ng parable na ito ay kung hindi mo makukuha ang gusto mo, kung gagamit ka ng ibang tao. So, sino po makakapag-differentiate ng first version at ng second version ng categorical imperative? Paulit tayo. Yes, Sir Lindon.
So, sa first version, dapat yung act mo ay hindi lang siya nalilimit sa perception mo. Kumbaga, dapat mo i-consider yung act mo na hindi lang magbe-benefit sa sarili mo but for others din. So, second version naman, yung act mo dapat, o yung parang pinaka-goal ng action mo is, dapat hindi mag-i-involve yung ibang tao. Yung para mag-take ka ng benefit from them para makuha yung goal mo.
So, tama po yung sinabi niya. So, in short, ang first version, ang first version ay nagpapakita na kung inisip mo na tama ang isang bagay at kung okay lang sa'yo na gawin ito ng lahat ng tao, kayo matuturing na the right thing to do. At ang second version naman ay nagsasabi na hindi mo dapat tinitreat ang isang tao na isang bagay na kung kailangan mo lang siya at mapapakinabangan ay gawin mo. So, next, ang example ko nito ay ang social skill. May tuturing po itong categorical imperative dahil kung ginamit mo ang will na ito nung saan ay ikaw ay magnanakaw, parang nag-a-agree ka na okay lang ang magnakaw at okay lang sa'yo na magnakaw ang ibang tao, sa tingin mo ay ito ay tama. At okay lang sa'yo na nakawin ng ibang tao ang mga bagay na pag-aari mo, another example po nito ay kung ang pagpatay ay okay lang sa'yo at okay lang gawin ng ibang tao, then sa tingin mo ay ito ay tamang gawin. Pero ang phrase po na thou shalt steal ay umo-oppose sa categorical imperative dahil alam naman natin na ang pagnanakaw o ang pagpatay ay
Immoral.
bigat na bagay at immoral kung tawagin. Next ay ang ought implies can. Everyone please read.
If and
Only if we can or free to act in certain ways can we be commanded to do so. For if the moral law commands that we ought to be better human beings now, it inescapably follows that we must be capable of being better human beings. The action to which the ought applies must indeed be possible under natural condition. The situation ethics author Joseph Fletcher, in full statement the saying would be, if I ought to do something, then I can do it. Yes.
So, ought implies can is an idea that means that we can only be morally required to do something if we are truly able to do it. So, in other words, we must have the freedom or the ability to do the act in a certain before anyone can say that we ought implies can. So if the moral law commands that we ought to be better human beings now, it inescapably follows that we must be capable of being better human beings. Kung sinasabi ng moral law na tayo daw ay maaari pang mag-improve or become a better human beings ngayon, ay ibig sabihin nun ay meron tayong ability na baguhin at mas i-improve pa ating pagkatao. The action to which the ought applies must indeed be possible under natural condition. So example, para mas maintindihan ng lahat. Kung ang isang Pinay ay inaasahan na sumali sa isang fun run or yung marathon, hindi siya may tuturing na kaya na hindi siya papatak sa outing place kasi dahil meron siyang physical injury na kung saan may hinahadlangan ang ability niya na para gawin ang bagay. Ang pinakauli ang the situation ethics author Joseph Fletcher in full statement, the saying would be, if I ought to do something, then I can do it. Kung may ability, so to summarize ay, kung may kakayahan ng isang tao na gawin ang isang bagay, sa kanya ito magagawa. Hindi mo siya mapipilit na gawin ito kung may humahad lang sa bagay na pinapagawa mo sa kanya. So, yun lang po. May mga questions po ba?
Wala po. Now let's proceed to our abstraction question. So number 1 is, if you found a wallet full of cash on the street, what would natural law tell you to do and why? Yes, Mr. Lindon.
Yung initial natural law na nasabi dito na dapat mo gawin is to give back the wallet na pulot mo. Kasi in natural law, it talks about the conscience, kung ano dapat yung dapat gawin ng isang tao without anything na other basis tungkol dito. Kumbaga, sundin mo lang yung consensya mo at saka sundin ko ano yung nararapat at dapat gawin or yung morally right thing to do.
Okay, bigyan ng vote of love si Sir Lindon.
1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! Iboto! Iboto! Si Lindon!
Now to the second question is, imagine your friend asks you to lie up to your parents to cover them. What would Kant's duty-based ethics says about this situation? Yes, Mr. Yakaban.
According dun sa Kant's ideological ethics, ang isang may duty daw isang tao to act to the will of another, but the will can only be right if will din siya ng ibang tao. So, yung pagsasinungaling natin sa magulang ng kaibigan natin para makontaktan siya, although will siya ng kaibigan natin, pero hindi natin siya will, But we have the duty and obligation para ipinasa sa atin para pagtakpan siya. But again, it is not moral act, but however, you're doing it for the sake of your friends. So, according dun sa technological theory, yung pagtatakip ng sinungaling mo sa magulang ng kaibigan mo para pagtakpan siya is not good. But however, something is there na parang okay din siya kasi you are also protecting your friend dun sa possible na conflict.
Okay, bigyan si Sir Julius ng Iboto Club.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Iboto! Iboto! Si Julius!
Now to the last and third question is, why is it important to follow moral rules like telling the truth or not stealing? Even no one is watching or even breaking them seems easier. Yes, Ms. Salazar.
Why is it important to follow moral rules? It is important to follow moral rules because by following those moral rules, you can be a good role model to someone. And also, by following that moral rules, shows that you, as a person, ay good at saka may clear conscience ka.
So, bigyan ng Iboto Club si Miss Salazar.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Iboto! Iboto! Si Sherla!
Okay. Now, let's proceed to our values integration.
According to Theodore Roosevelt, no man is above the law and no man is below it. Sinasabi lamang dito na ang bawat isa o bawat dominan ng isang country should mas kahit sila ay mayaman, may posisyon sa society o mahirap ay kailangan silang protektahan at kailangan din nilang sumunod sa law o batas na ipinapa-implement or kailangan na ipinapa-implement ng ating country. Yun lang ang sinasabi ni, or ito lang, yun lang sinasabi, or yun lang sinasabi ni Theodore Roosevelt.
So, no man is above the law and no man is below it. So, din nga sinabi ni Theodore Roosevelt and sinabi rin na hinaralo na sa kanyang movie na walang nakakataas sa batas kahit ng presidente. So, this means that no one is above the law. Walang mayaman, walang mahirap. Lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay pagdating sa law. Yun lang.
No man is above the law, and no man is below it. Para sa akin, sinasabi lamang ng quotation na ito na kahit mayaman ka, kahit ikaw ay politician, ay hindi ka mas mataas sa batas. Ang batas ay batas at dapat ang lahat ng tao ay sumunod dito. At dito naman sa pahayag na no man is below it, kahit mahirap ka, tandaan natin na lahat tayo, mapamahirap ka man o mayaman, ay may pantay-pantay na karapatan sa usaping batas. Lahat tayo ay binibigyan ng protection nito, ano man ang katayuan natin sa ating buhay.
No man is above the law and no man is below it. Ibig sabihin, ang mga tao ng mga batas ay pantay-pantay. Sa kadahilan ng mga tao, kaya nila sinusunod ng batas dahil tinuturing na ito ay kapantay ng mga tao. Pagdating sa mga batas at sa mga karapatang pantao ng bawat isa, ang lahat ng tao ay pantay-pantay na karapatang pantao para nang sa ganun ay maging patas ang lahat sa lahat ng bagay.
And like what I discussed earlier about God's freedom of right, legally and morally right, no one is above the law and no one is below it. So this only means that everyone is equal, or lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay at walang umaangat sa law, mapaligal man yan at mapamoral.
So, no man is above the law and no man is below it. So, regardless sa position or sa status sa buhay ng isang tao, walang dapat na nasa taas o nasa baba ng law. Tayo ay pantay-pantay sa mata ng batas at dapat na sumunod ang lahat at i-treat ng may equal sa mata ng batas.
Now, I hope you learned something from our discussion. And ngayon, dumako naman tayo at malaman kung sino nga ba ang mga pinili ng mga tao para manalo at maging parte ng gobyerno.
Thank you for joining our meeting, dear Banse. I hope you learned something from us again. I hope iboto ang tama, bumoto ng matalino, kasi bumoto ng mas matalino. Maraming salamat po.
Ngayon ay nasa pamilya natin ang boto ng taong bayan. Para sa simulan natin ang naging resulta para sa ating provincial governor. Narito ang ating mga kandidato, si John Paul Prestado versus Hannah Victoria Quiroga. Ayon sa naging resulta at boses ng ating taong bayan, nakakuha ng 1 million votes sa ating provincial election. I-welcome na natin ang ating panibagong provincial governor, si John Paul Prestado. Naway pagtutuwid mo na naging boto at sa naging platforma sa ngayon, ako naman tayo sa naging resulta ng ating provincial vice governor.
At ang ating kandidato na si Joshua L. Lala at Mr. Denzel Angeles. Ayon sa naging resulta ng ating botohan, ang panibagong provincial vice governor ay walang iba kundi si Mr. Denzel Angeles! Picture!
At ngayon, dumako na tayo sa pinakahihintay ng lahat. At ngayon ay na-receive namin sa call na hindi makakaraw si Rainier Benamer sapagkat meron siya kailangan asikasuhin ngayon. Subalit, kahit ano mangyari, kailangan natin ituloy ang naging resulta ng ating botohan. At base sa boses ng ating taong bayan, ang ating panibagong City Mayor ng Luzon ng Lipa, walang iba kundi si Miss LaJoy Tulia. Maraming salamat, Mayor.
Picture!
At congratulations ulit sa ating mga panibagong newly elected members of our government officials. Once again, our new provincial governor, Mr. John Paul Prestado. Our new provincial vice governor, Mr. Denzel Angeles. And our new city mayor of Luzon ng Lipa, none other than Miss LaJoy Tulia. Congratulations po.